And then the stupid fucking neighbor walks by.
And
he's like, "Hey, are those human remains?
Human remains.
Do you have a permit for that?" And he's like, keep fucking walking.
Keep fucking walking. Fuck you, man.
Right now is the time for me to leave everything I know behind.
They came to ask him for at least some new tracks, but only got confronted by the beast with two backs. Welcome to Rabbit Fighters. It's a little MF Doom, all caps. Rest in peace.
Oh, that's the quickest
Also,
quote ever.
R.I.P. MF Doom, R.I.P. MF Doom.
One day we'll do Doom. We'll do some Doomsday.
Yes, definitely. Love me some Doom.
Yeah.
But yeah, today's topic is something of a little bit of a literary penchant. So I figured maybe a musical reference that pulls in some Shakespeare as well. So
Yes,
we do the work here.
Or
Yeah.
you could have done a Thelonious Monk song if he ever had lyrics.
Yeah.
you could have just been like. That would suffice.
All right.
Why are we
Now
talking
that we
about
have,
Thelonious Monk, though? Why would we talk about Thelonious
Yeah, now that we've
Monk?
scared off all 7 listeners. All right, so today, the Rabbit Fighters dive into the 2023 film American Fiction. Cord Jefferson of SNL fame debuts as a director with this adaptation of the 2001 novel Erasure by Percival Everett. American Fiction follows the frustrated novelist-professor Thelonious, nicknamed Monk Ellison. While his novels receive academic praise, they sell poorly, and publishers reject his latest manuscript for not being quote-unquote black enough. Monk loses his job for losing it on a class of mostly white college students who just can't handle seeing the N-word on the board in his American Fiction class, the titular class name. So this takes him home to the Boston area, where he stays with his dysfunctional family. His mother, who is succumbing to dementia, his sister, who is also a doctor, his brother, who's also a doctor. Monk is a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. Everyone in the family is a doctor, and they're all very, very unhappy. So in a fit of despair about his writing not being taken seriously, he writes a full book of stereotypes called My Pafology as a joke under the pseudonym Stagg R Leigh. Except the book rockets him to fame in the publishing and movie world. He has to decide whether to reveal himself and accept the fame or blow the whole thing up. Brilliant synopsis. Thank you very much, Greg.
That's brilliantly
Appreciate
done.
You get the ghostwriting credit for today.
That's right.
Thank you, Greg /ChatGPT.
No, I don't use ChatGPT,
I'm just
man.
kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I don't use that shit, man.
At all? You don't? Not at
No,
all?
I've
used
never
it?
actually used it. Yeah, I don't know. They're always like they had a Google ad where they were just like, in the Olympics, this little girl has a favorite athlete and she wants to write a letter to her favorite athlete, and so she turns to fucking Google AI to do it. And you're like, Google AI writes a perfect letter for a child, and then they even got to insert a line that's actually from the kid at the end of the letter.
Amazing.
To add like any authenticity to like, I just like, this is exactly what we don't need fucking AI for. Like, AI is supposed to like make workflows happen.
That's how we get viewership.
Yeah,
we just
right.
got to start talking about AI. Everything is like buzzed AI. Be like, oh, Rabbit Fighters with AI.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Even this thing.
we'll get 8 listeners.
Even our podcast software is like, would you like to use AI to make clips?
AI?
AI can make some
AI
clips, and then
magic.
you use AI to make the clips, and it's like the worst crap of our podcast. Like, we're heating the planet with this fucking technology. But
Oddly, it's better than our stuff.
yeah, I know, right?
It just creates and cuts out a clip of someone, one of us being like, I gotta piss.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, no, we don't need AI to write poems and movie scripts and letters to our favorite athletes. We need AI to just do the crap that we don't want to do, like legal clauses. Have it write legal clauses. Nobody wants to write those.
Well, and a big surprise, we have Jeffrey Wright here, who's going to we're going to interview him.
I would crap my pants if we had Jeffrey right here.
No, sorry, he couldn't make it.
Oh my god.
Would you like fangirl out on Jeffrey
He's
Wright?
fucking awesome, man. He's so good in everything. Have you ever seen Basquiat? You ever seen that movie where he plays Jean-Michel Basquiat? Oh man.
Oh no, actually.
That's another movie I would
I know
pick too.
Basquiat
Yeah.
is, but
they have
that's gotta be old.
They have
then,
David
'cause if
Bowie play Andy Warhol. It's so good. There's this part where like he like Andy Warhol makes this humongous painting, and he's staring at it. Basquiat is like just stares at it for a minute, and he just takes a huge paint roller and like rolls giant lines through the middle of it, and then stands back, and he's like, "It's better now." And then they have Bowie as Andy Warhol just goes, I don't know what's good anymore.
I feel you.
It's so funny. Yeah, that's a good
1996.
Yeah, that's a good movie, man. That was the first time I saw that guy.
See, that'd be a good one.
Jeffrey Wright.
That's a list.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then he's been like Spy,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's Felix.
Yeah.
He's Felix
Yeah,
Leiter.
I liked him in
yeah.
I liked him in The Batman. He was the commissioner.
I think the first role I ever saw him in was the Bill Murray film Broken Flowers. He plays the neighbor.
He's in that?
Yeah.
Who like you never seen that?
No, I've seen it, but I didn't remember he was in that. Okay.
Oh yeah. He's like he's like turns him on to like Ethiopian jazz, like, and he's like his neighbor next door that he's friends with.
That sounds like a Woody Allen movie. It's not a Woody Allen movie.
A little bit.
No, it's
I think it was immediately after Lost in Translation. He was
exactly.
Big comeback.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Sofia Coppola, but it was another one of those.
Jim Jarmusch. Oh, okay, all right. Because it sounds like
Hey, let me introduce you to some Ethiopian jazz. I got this when I was in Paris. Have I told you that I've been to Paris?
Like,
infinitely creepier.
Everyone knows. Speaking of things that you sit around and talk about, why don't we sit around and talk about American Fiction, the movie that we're talking about today?
Yeah, Greg. This was your choice. Why'd you choose this film from last year?
I saw it on a plane. I saw it on a plane coming back from Egypt. I was like, I'm going to watch some stuff that my family would never watch because I have limited stuff that I watch with kids in the house and my wife and stuff like that. So
why did you feel this that we needed to see it?
I just felt like it's worth talking about. And coming from the Boston area too, like those scenes in Boston resonated with me too. Like I went to the Cape all the time when I was a kid, and like I guess part of what this movie is asking is like, what is a Black experience? When like Trump came on to the Black journalists and said, the immigrants are coming to take Black jobs, and someone was like, well, what's a Black job? And he was like, well,
I've never been more proud of my city, by the way. That Wednesday when I woke up and found, oh fuck, Trump's in town. And by the end of that, I didn't catch any of it until the end of the day, and I was like, I'm so proud of Chicago. God.
And then
kick his ass.
Simone Biles tweeted after that. She won a gold medal, and she tweeted after that like, I love my Black job because like like it can be anything. Anything can be a Black job. I feel like this is a guy, this guy Monk, the central character played by Jeffrey Wright, is a guy who has lived a life that white America doesn't expect him to live. They don't want to know about an upper middle class family in the Boston area who is a bunch of doctors. They want real raw stories about people from the streets, and
what they called in the movie was like trauma
porn. Exactly. They want trauma porn. And like I've heard about this too. Like if you go to Brazil, one of the big things in Brazil is they have these favela tours where they drive you through all the poorest places in Brazil, and tourists are like taking all these pictures of all the poverty, and they're like, oh my God, it's so poor. Let's see some more poor neighborhoods.
Dead Kennedys called it Holiday in Cambodia.
Right? Yeah. So you can go home and be like, look at all these pictures of these sad faced people from another country.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah. What did you guys think about it? Because you never even heard of it probably before.
I had never heard of it. Yeah. It apparently was nominated for a bunch of Oscars.
It was. Yeah.
It won a People's Choice Award in Toronto Film Festival. And just a ton of other awards. And I had never heard of it once. My wife was even like, you hadn't heard of this? Yeah, it was like up for a ton of Oscars last year. Where were you? I was like, I was watching Kurt Russell movies.
Not watching the Oscars. Watching Snake Plissken.
I had it when I put it on. Jen was like, oh, what are you watching? And I said, oh, American Fiction. She's like, oh, that's supposed to be really good. And I was like, why has everybody heard this movie but me? I'm like, she never watches movies.
Come on. yeah. So
Yeah, I as a story, I thought it was very well crafted. I liked all of the characters. I thought were really interesting. I especially kind of gravitated towards the dysfunctional family aspect of it. I like a good dysfunctional family movie, and
there are many.
there are many. There's a ton out there.
Yeah.
But I was actually like the only ones that really came to mind were like Wes Anderson movies, which Jeffrey Wright was and a couple Wes Anderson movies. I think he was in what's the latest one? Asteroid City.
Asteroid City. I didn't see
And
that,
The French Dispatch. I think he was in that. So, which is kind of funny because Wes Anderson only writes movies about dysfunctional families.
Yeah.
Or dysfunctional fathers,
It's like his
typically.
thing.
But then, yeah.
It's like how the Coen brothers only write movies about people who have a bag of money and everything goes to hell because of the bag of money. Yes.
Yeah. So his whole family, I thought, was just excellently cast, and I really liked their weird facets. His brother, who was gay, but he was married to a woman and divorced, and now he's just really leaning into being gay.
Yeah. He's like, I haven't gay 5 minutes. I'm making up for lost time.
Totally. He's doing all the sex, all the drugs. He's just
I've taken the lover.
Out there with
It's
it.
like, please don't say I've taken a lover.
Yeah, all of their exchanges back and forth were really
funny, yeah.
I mean, they were funny, but they were also, it's heartbreaking that they've got this this really traumatic relationship with their father who's deceased, and all of the issues that he had. So he was he cheated on their mom all the time, who now has Alzheimer's, and she's quickly decaying, and then the sister, she is bringing them all together ostensibly, but then she dies out of nowhere, and her celebration of life or funeral was one of the best funerals scenes I've ever seen on film before. Like I love that so much. And then the stupid fucking neighbor walks by, and he's like, "Hey, are those human remains?
Those human remains.
Do you have a permit for that?" And he's like, keep fucking walking.
Keep fucking walking. Fuck you, man.
I mean, the audacity.
I'm just saying. It's not illegal.
I like that they were his neighbor that he knew. They're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
exactly. He's not just some random stranger.
No,
he was like the neighbor that's like they knew since they were kids or something.
And you can see that scene unfolding. Like they're all standing there, and then you see a guy off in the distance, like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, I know. And he's a white guy.
The second I saw him, I was like, "Shit."
Yeah, and also I love the eulogy she wrote for herself, where she's like, oh,
that was hilarious. That makes I got to get to work writing a eulogy for myself, man. Jesus, that was funny.
I've clearly been taken down by the heaving pelvic thrust of Idris Elba. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I love this movie so much.
I think we can all aspire to go out like that.
Yeah, right. It's got such sharp lines and such great characters, and at the center of it is Jeffrey Wright. And I've said this a bunch because I did acting for quite a while. It's really fucking hard to do a part like that. People always give praise to someone who plays like someone who's got some deformity and they're a hunchback, or like they're mentally ill and they just scream all the time, or they're like Rain Man, where he's doing this writ large autism thing, and they're like, how did he do that? And it's like, it's way easier to do that. It's way easier to hide under a coat of affectations than it is to create this character that Jeffrey Wright has created in American fiction. This, like, there are no flaws to this character. Everything he does is real and grounded and like really subtle. And you just follow his eyes, and you can just see what he's thinking just by where his eyes dart around to, and whether they widen or narrow a little bit. Like, his voice is so restrained. He's just a man who's like keeping so much in, like he's just kind of like this rage locker. And he's doing a really good job of like only parsing it out in bits, but like he's also not happy, and he doesn't make other people happy.
It's interesting because it's a very like packed in movie with like relationships and situations. Like there's every situation imaginable happening in this movie. So you got and they even talk like, and I think it's done on purpose. So it's, you know, his brother, you know, was a closet gay man. He comes out, but he was previously married to a white woman, you know, and then the mom has Alzheimer's and the dad's a genius, but the dad committed suicide. So everyone's unpacking that. And his girlfriend is recently divorced. And it's like, there's so many, the sister is divorced and then she has a heart attack. And it's like, and then the maid's falling in love with this other guy. And it's like, holy, there's like 25 storylines that are all happening. And I think on purpose of, you know, you think it's kind of one way and then it's, you know, everyone's doing something like, it's like, how many situations can we create in this whole puzzle? It just kind of crazy to me. It was like keeping track of all that's happening and all the relationships that are going on, which I thought was really, really well done of you know, not letting it be stale in that sense where it's like, let's focus on Monk and his situation with this book. And it's, you can easily get lost in all the other relationships, even like the relationship with him and his brother and like the brother and the dad. And like, it's just like crazy. Like, wow. So I was really impressed to be able to like unpack all those storylines and kind of, and all the emotional baggage that comes with those. And like, this movie was really impressive to me. I think, plus I loved the way that they kind of did the narration components of when he's writing what was really called My Pafology at first, whatever. And like it kind of cuts to like it's almost like a theater, like two actors, totally. like a play. David, and he's like, and he like breaks the fourth wall. He's like, "What am I saying here?" And he's like, he's like rewrites it. Then they do the acting part. It's kind of cool. I like that they did that in terms of like acting out his writing, and it was really funny. But it's a very
I don't think I've ever seen it done that way before. I thought it was
I was trying to think if I had seen something like that.
I'm sure it's been done before. I've just never seen it.
Yeah,
but it was definitely unique to me.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was very bad. Weirdly weird. I'd never heard of this. I don't know. I guess I'm giving myself more credit than I should. But usually, like I have like Oscar
radar
on my radar. You know, like you know. So But and especially because I like Jeffrey Wright, I like Issa Rae. I mean, this is really well cast. I know I'm going to blank on his name, the brother Cliff.
Sterling Brown, man, he's in Juba from Wakanda Forever, or from the first movie, Black Panther. He's the guy. He's the guy in. He's the traitor who gives the vibranium to Claw, and they like confront him in Los Angeles in that little shitty apartment. And he has to pull his lip down. He's got the blue across his lip.
Oh,
and then he's got a spy, the kid who like turns him in, and the kid pulls his lip down. He's like,
he's his like stepbrother,
motherfucker. Yeah,
I would assumed like 98% of people would know him from This Is Us, that massive hit.
Yeah, I never saw This Is Us. Actually, that's funny.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember I watched random episodes or seen it on, but I know he's one of the brothers.
He was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Anyways, he's a great actor. But it was interesting because I think in the This Is Us series, he plays definitely a more subdued role. But this is like, he's just a really good actor.
It's a fun role for him. Yeah. I think he gets to kind of show off a little bit.
I feel like he got to like play around with that role a lot more. Like because in those other, like in This Is Us, not that I've seen a lot of episodes, but he does play like a more reserved character. So this kind of was like, oh, okay, this guy's like, he gets to do whatever. It definitely kind of pushed, I saw like a different side of as an actor of him. I was like, oh, he's great. Yeah. Like, but even the side characters are good. Like what is it? Lorraine, who plays the maid, is good.
Yeah. Lorraine. She's really good. She's a real character. She's got like, she's just kind of like a down home character. She's the kind of person, the only kind of person that could hold this family together in any way. She's basically her and Lisa, the sister of Monk, are like the glue of the family, except the rest of them haven't known that really because they've been off doing their own thing. And when they have to come back, and then, and that scene with Lisa, first of all, the scene with Lisa where he meets her at the hospital and they drive back and have a laugh and stuff. I was like, this is a great scene. I love this scene in the car. I love the scene where he's like, talking to her, I think at a restaurant. And
what was the joke she told?
Oh, Roe versus Wade. That was pretty cool.
Roe versus Wade joke. Yeah. And then like she just like fucking has a heart attack. And like, I gotta say, one of the more chilling death scenes I think I've seen is that scene in this movie where she dies and she's like, oh God, oh, and he's like, don't fuck around with me. And then they cut to the hospital and he's just looking through a little window at her feet, and her feet are just like moving and stuff. And then like people are running around and yelling and stuff like that. And then the feet stop moving and you just have this long shot of these feet. I don't know why, but like that just really nailed me for some reason. I guess it might have been because of COVID, because I heard so many stories, even from people that I knew, about having to watch their loved ones die through a window because you couldn't go into the room and see them. And I don't know if that was a nod to that or not, but for some reason that one really struck me, where you're like, this person was like the center of this family and is now like that, you know, gone, and there's nothing fair about it or anything. She's one of those people in a family where nobody knows how much they do to keep the family together until they're gone. And then it's like the lights go off in the house. He's like, Lorraine, what's going on with the lights? She's like, Miss Lisa used to always pay for the lights, the electricity. And like, oh shit. And I feel like this movie it's funny. It's a little bit like Magnolia, and it's a little bit like Breaking Bad, you know, where like we have all these interwoven characters like Magnolia, and in Breaking Bad, like the cruelty of the American healthcare system kind of has a starring role in launching the events, right? So like in Breaking Bad, he can't afford cancer treatments, so he has to, you know, cook meth. And in this, he has to do the literary version of that, right? Like his mom needs like, you know,
literary meth.
Yeah, his mom needs constant care. She's got Alzheimer's. She's never going to get better, and she needs constant care. And these places cost $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. And everyone else is like, oh, I'm divorced. His brother's like, don't ask me for money. His sister's dead. Like, you know, Lorraine ain't got no money. You know, so like he has to, because of the American healthcare system, he's like, I gotta cook literary meth and make this horrible, ridiculous book.
Yeah, it was in 3 phases. He writes it as a joke.
Yep.
Says, turn it in, see what they say.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and like, they're interested.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep chasing this thing, and he's like, yeah, whatever. And then by then it's like he's got bills to pay, and sets him down, and gives him the Johnny Walker.
The Johnny Walker speech. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good speech.
That was a good speech.
It was very convincing. It was a very convincing argument to sell out.
It was. I know. It's so tempting, right? You listen to the speech and you're like, that makes total sense.
You put it like that.
Yeah, I love his agent too. I like that guy. That guy does a really good job.
Is John Ortiz?
Yeah, John Ortiz, where he's like, you know, he's going to an elevator at one point, and you know, Monk says to him, you know, I'm tired of writing books for money or something, you know.
No, he's like, I want to go back to not selling books.
He's just like, I don't.
I don't. The door's closed.
The door's closed. That was a great line. Yeah, I love that guy. But yeah, the Johnny Walker thing, you know, for those who haven't seen the movie, is he like puts Johnny Walker red, Johnny Walker black, and Johnny Walker blue bottles in a row. And he's just like, you know, hey, you can they sell a lot of the cheap shit, a little bit of the medium shit, and like almost nothing of the blue. And the blue is actually good, you know. But most people, they just want to get drunk. He's like, you can write all 3 categories of books. You can write low class, middle class, and high class stuff, and you can sell all of them, and it's okay. You know?
Maybe you guys can help me unpack this a little bit, because it's a dark comedy. I would put this in that category, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of it is white people poking fun at themselves for being super whatever. Like, this book is genius. Like, I feel like we need more black voices. They're just caricatures of themselves, like in the marketing and publication of like, this is what we need, which is really just pandering to, you know, what white people think, you know, whatever, like the trauma
driving through the favela. Yeah. So
when they go to the literary contest or whatever, both Monk and Santara, or Issa Rae's character, are like, no, this book's garbage. Like, well, then the 3 white people are like, I think it's number one.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
number,
Yeah, we need to listen to Black Voice.
That's the best. That's the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
line. It's a little
But
too
not
easy.
your
Listen to
It's a
Black
little
Voice.
too easy.
It's,
but
it's on the nose.
yeah, it's a little on the nose. But they're like, in these times,
effective.
we have to listen to black voices. They're like silencing the only two black voices in the room.
but it was kind of interesting because then Monk's girlfriend, when she reads it, he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, have you read it?" He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I liked it."
Yeah.
Like maybe not all black people would hate this. Not like,
Yeah.
or it was kind of interesting.
Mhm.
The two writers are like, it's trashy. Obviously, I felt like the whole literary thing was a vehicle to get those two in the same room together to have that conversation
Totally,
of him
yeah.
being like, "Hey, is my shitty novel so dissimilar from your
Yeah.
piece of shit that you put out that's
Yeah.
a bestseller?"
Yeah.
And then she sort of defends it at first and then admits to being that she's writing for what the people want.
I don't feel like anyone loses that argument. It's great how tentative he is. So, I mean, how
Yeah.
good Jeffrey Wright is, man. He's like, so, your book,
How's it different?
how is it different? Yeah, she's like, well, and you can tell.
Like, oh,
You're
shit.
like, oh, it's going to get really ugly and they're going to throw down and stuff like, they're verbally throw down. But she's open about it. She's like, I can just openly say I'm a middle-class person who went into publishing very early after going to a prestigious university, and I'm writing stories from the Black experience that people want to read because I know people want to read them.
Yeah, I think I agree. There wasn't a clear winner.
Yeah.
I do think she came out looking a little worse for wear than he did, but not by much.
She never affects some fake persona. Like when at the book reading, when he first sees her, she's not like, yeah, I'm from the streets. She's like, I went to this prestigious school and I jumped into the publishing world from there, and then I started writing, and here's the book that I wrote.
It's like those actors who are giving speeches to students who are trying to make it in the business. Like, oh, I just got here, and yeah, I just got a bunch of auditions done. I just walked right in. Like,
Yeah,
I recommend doing that.
I recommend having connections.
She's a novelist or a writer writing for the content that people want.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't know what good writing is.
Sure.
Right. Or she is not a good writer. So I think in the terms of like a panel for an award, you can differentiate between like good writing or things that you think should be an award-winning novel versus like shit that you're writing that people just want to read, like,
Yeah.
Romance novels.
I get the feeling that Santara is a good writer, and she just happens to write a Johnny Walker Red book, maybe she writes only Johnny Walker Red books, who knows, but she's still a good writer. It's like the Bridges of Madison County, those Twilight books, all these books that people shit on, but everybody buys and everybody reads, like
what's the
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey, yeah.
That shit, everyone's like, these books are so terrible. And you're like, and they've sold 50 million copies, and so like these people are writing pulp.
The problem is people.
Yeah, right. They're writing pulp novels, but they have to be good writers a little, right? Like they have to have good structure, good characters, good flow.
Be able to read a little bit.
Yeah, you should be able to write a little porn at work. I'm not in trouble at all.
At all.
It's not like these books suck. So Monk's girlfriend Coraline, when she's like, I liked it, she doesn't say like, it's brilliant, it's the best book I've ever read.
Yeah.
She says, I liked it. Like you might say after you had a decent hamburger. I liked it.
It's like watching a popcorn movie in a sense. You're like, I wasn't trying to dig
right.
in.
It's not a bad book, it's just not a brilliant book, but she's like, I consumed it. I enjoyed it. Like I moved on with my life, So like these people in the literary awards aren't reading a piece of shit. They're elevating a book that they might not have liked nearly as well if a white writer or someone else had written it, because it appeals to their idea of what the Black experience is. First of all, there are like a billion Black experiences. Like at one point Monk is
not the.
Yeah, Monk is like, I don't even believe in race, but I feel like he has to write a book about what white people think the Black experience is to save his own version of the Black experience, which is an upper middle class, highly literate Black family living in Massachusetts in the Boston area. All these things that stereotypes don't fit, right? Like,
what does he say? He's like, the dumber I act, the richer I get, or something like that.
I love that stuff. Stuff with Wiley, the movie producer.
Oh yeah. Which comes off as like a Michael Bay type.
Totally, Adam Brody is really pretty funny in that one. And he's just like, I gotta meet this cat. I gotta meet him. His publisher is like, what did you dress like this? You're supposed to look street. And he's like, I don't know. How do I know what street is? I'm Jesus. And then like,
He's like, "You Sesame Street."
Sesame Street. And he walks in the restaurant.
But yeah, he meets him for that meeting. He orders white wine.
He wants some white wine. It's like, yeah, motherfucker. But I love how like the second before he walks in to meet him, he realizes he has his glasses on. So he just takes them off and turns his head like sideways. And the whole time he's talking to Adam Brody, he has like his head turned this way. And yeah, of course it works. He's like, man, he's so real. And then when he thinks his mom had an accident in the hospital because he hears an ambulance siren, he takes off. The publisher's like, he said he ran off as soon as he heard a siren.
The police, yeah,
As soon as he heard the police,
he's the real deal.
It's so dumb.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's really well written.
Yeah.
Did it get nominated for screenplay at all?
I don't.
Or by chance?
I don't know. I think it did.
Maybe
I think Hollywood
adapted screenplay. I guess?
Hollywood did the same thing that always does when a black director puts forward a movie that's highly acclaimed and gets a bunch of nominations. They give the screenwriting award and everyone else gets shafted. That happened to Spike Lee for Do the Right Thing.
Best adapted screenplay, best picture, best actor, best supporting actor, and best original score nominations.
Yeah.
Yeah, took home the Oscar for best adapted screenplay.
That's it. That's the one they'll give black people usually. But yeah, Jeffrey Wright was obviously going to lose to Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is obviously going to win everything.
I was going to say, when you said you saw this on the plane, I was like, ever since I saw Oppenheimer on a plane, I am terrified of watching movies on the plane because there's a lot of sex in Oppenheimer.
Oh.
Yeah,
and
right.
I was just like, when the first time I was like, oh my God, there's like kids behind me. They got to warn you when this kind of thing is going to be on in public. And
They do warn you at the beginning saying it's an unedited version of the film.
Yeah.
I didn't think there'd be boobs though.
Yeah, it's just a little uncomfortable. You're like,
And the guy next to you is like, hey, like leans over and you laugh.
I'm not a perv, I swear.
all these little kids' heads are popping
It
up.
won
in
an
your seat
Oscar.
rest.
Yeah, it won an Oscar.
It's Oscar movie right here.
Yeah.
She's in Dune.
I'm watching all the Oscar winners. It's a thing I do.
Should we rate this sucker?
Well, I guess before that we didn't say do we anything we didn't like. Is there anything we didn't like? But
I didn't like the ending.
Which ending?
explain.
Any of them. So he obviously has the pseudonym or the pen name Stagg R Leigh, and nobody knows it's him. And they're at the award ceremony that his book won for, and so it wins the award, and everyone's like, all right, well, he's not showing up. So then he stands up, walks up to the front, and everyone's like, what's this guy doing? He's got something to say, and they're a little nervous. And then he says, I have a confession to make, and then the screen cuts to black. And then it goes to he's in Hollywood, and he's talking to that Wiley guy, and they're obviously shooting the movie about the movie you just watched. And
he's still trying to sell the screenplay.
Yeah, he was still trying to sell the screenplay. Yeah.
Well, he's talking about the ending, right? He doesn't like the ending. He's like, it's too ambiguous. And he's like, but that's what makes it a good ending. Yeah. And he's like, okay, well, how about that? What else you got in that big brain here? So he's like, okay, how about this? He goes and it was a core line. He goes and runs
Gives
out.
him the rom-com ending.
Yeah, he runs out of the awards.
Last line.
Yeah. And then rings the doorbell, and then the movie ends with her like opening the door, and it's like, I hate that, it's too rom-com. He's like, well,
I love that he says,
one
the line's
more.
good, though.
I love that he
The line's
says,
good, though.
I'm sorry, I haven't been myself. Because he was using a pseudonym, you see.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
It was like a Sleepless in Seattle thing. I was like,
Totally,
it's so dumb.
Yeah, and then the third ending, he's like, well, this isn't gonna work. Like, you can tell he like hates to even bring it up because it's so fucking trite. It's like, how about this ending? And then it's like he cuts back to the award ceremony, gets up on stage, he wins the award, and he walks up there, rests it, and then he has like, I have a confession to make. And the cops fucking burst in. FBI, they think he's got a gun when he's holding an award on stage, and they shoot him dead. And then it cuts to black, and obviously Wiley, being the douchebag he is like, I love it.
Print it.
And then he walks out of the studio, gets into the convertible with his brother, gives a nod to one of the cast members who is dressed as a plantation slave, and then they drive off into the sunset. I didn't care for it.
Well, what didn't you like about that?
Um, I don't typically like the unreliable narrator sort of gimmick. I feel like it throws the entire movie into question of like, did any of this shit really happen, and how much of it was real, or how much of it is like in the imagination or in the screenplay that we're supposed to be buying about his experience in this whole thing. It's all up for grabs, and I feel like it tends to like pull the rug out from under you, and it makes it seem more, I don't know, more clever than it actually is. And I feel like it wasn't a terrible ending. I just I found it very unsatisfactory. I didn't find it unsatisfactory that it didn't tie it up, because that first ending would have been great. Like, to his point,
Yeah,
it makes it great. That would have been great. That would have been a good ending. But it made it more complicated. It made it, I don't know. It unnecessarily complicated everything else, when I felt like it was a cohesive story with a good social commentary message, that all of a sudden at the end was like, oh, what is it now?
See, I felt that way the first time I watched this. I was like, oh, I hate it when they leave it up to like, oh wait, what ending is real and what ending is fake. But I watched it a second time.
He's like, what's this, Rashomon?
It isn't that movie. Because the second time he's talking to Wiley, and here's where they bring the Johnny Walker blue and black and red back in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, without saying it. So he's talking to Wiley, and they do the cut to black thing, and they have him talking to Wiley in Hollywood. And Wiley's like, that's it? You cut to black? What happened? And he's like, what, in real life? I didn't say shit. I just walked off the stage. You know, and he's like, okay, well, we can't use that. So I'm like, all right. So all of the stuff in the movie happened. It isn't unreliable narrator about all the stuff we've seen up to this point. Now we're just deciding which version of the black experience, Hollywood wants from this guy, right? Are we going to get Johnny Walker red or black or blue? And he starts with blue. So he's like,
Yeah.
would you buy Johnny Walker blue? And the guy's like, no, it's too complicated. It doesn't satisfy, I don't like it. And he's like, God damn it. Would you accept Johnny Walker Black where we do Sleepless in Seattle ending? And Wiley was like, nah, pass. And he's like, motherfucker. All right, taking out the red. How would you like a big glug of this fucking Johnny Walker red? And he's like, delicious.
Because the guy is like, he basically makes movies, aka just people who want to get drunk.
If you're working with Hollywood, you got to sell out. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Everyone wants to get drunk in Hollywood. That's the whole point.
No, I don't subscribe to that.
I disagree with that. I sort of on the fence. I feel like what happened in real life was they announced the winner and he got
sat
up
there.
And left.
Yeah,
he just left.
That's the real.
Like I didn't get the impression that he went up and got the award. I got the impression that he just like got up from the table and just like left the award ceremony. Like fuck this. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, and then he's riffing on 3 different versions of an ending, like a book. And
my point is the movie that we saw happened, and then at the very end, he's creating fictional endings for Wiley for what really that could happen that would make it a movie.
See, I disagree. I think it throws the entire movie that we saw into question. That this isn't the story. This is the movie of the story that we've been watching.
He's working on another movie though when Monk is pitching him this movie. Like the assistant comes over with the soda and he's like, what's this? He's like, condensation. He's like, it's wet. It's like, condensation? He's like, what are you, a fucking meteorologist? Never have that happen again. I fucking love that. But he's in the middle of making.
Doesn't happen in real life.
I think he was making. I'm sure he's heard that actual exchange happen in Hollywood at some point. But so Wiley's there making another movie. I think it's like Plantation Annihilation, actually, and that's why they have that like plantation slave character in the movie lot do the hey to Monk as he's driving off. So yeah, Wiley's making a torture porn movie while Monk is pitching him this other movie. And so, yeah, like the movie that we saw happened, but now he's trying to sell it.
I mean, for what it's worth, Greg, I agree. I think he told the story as it unfolded up until that point, but to the point that Wiley mentions is like, books aren't movies.
Yeah.
There needs to be a conclusion here, like, and that's how you sell this shit. And so, at least
David
his type of
Lynch.
movies, you know?
Fucking raining at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say I personally, maybe it tells you what kind of movies you like. I think the first ending was great. Just the ambiguous literary, like
Perfect.
I have a confession, smash, drop scene, and I think that's really good. But then I did laugh at that line is really good. Sorry, I haven't been myself.
I know, it's a great line.
So I was like, that's terribly, but it's also funny.
It's like the B sharps from The Simpsons, where you're like,
yeah,
it sounds clever, but it really isn't.
The dialogue is really funny
between
all the characters. It's really well written.
Yeah,
I feel like.
I think one of the things I would have changed a little bit is when he changes the name of the My Pafology book to fuck.
Yeah.
I would have had him change it to the N word, because that's really what would have set the white literary world a Twitter. They would have been like, oh my, that's so racy and out there. And like, that was the one thing I was like, fuck, for someone as smart as Monk to play a smart joke on the literary world, it's not as clever as I think this guy would have been.
I was wondering if that was like a nod to those self-help books and stuff like that. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Yeah. And it was like, oh my God, there's fuck in the title. And then there was like Unfuck Yourself and all these other like other self-help stupid books. And I was like, ooh, it's such a racy title. Like it caught headline. People like, oh, there's an F word in the title. Like, and what is that? Like, that's gotta be powerful, and
no, it's a trap and you fell into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the guy who wrote it is like, gotcha.
Yep. See, exactly.
Totally gotcha.
Made you look.
So I didn't know if it was like a nod to that, but I think to your point, I mean, it didn't seem kind of random.
Yeah.
But I liked how the publishers were like, hold on.
How about
they come back,
damn?
like,
how about damn?
Yeah. Darn. Yeah. I like when they put them on hold and they come back and they're like, we love it. We love it.
Guy's like,
Stagg.
Like, damn it.
It's so good. It's out there.
And he's just like, fuck. Like I
can't do anything wrong now.
It's so funny.
We
love it. We love it. Because there's been a number of films that, are kind of poking at some of the same themes in a way. There was that one recently that came out that was like, you people,
the movie that wastes Eddie Murphy.
I feel like that probably doesn't do the social commentary justice. No. So like this is like a smart way. Like,
You People is not a good movie, my friend. It's not. He's trying to make like a Judd Apatow movie, but like, I'm the white guy that gets it though, man. Like I get black people, and that's really like Jonah's take on himself in this movie. I feel like, and he's playing a stand-in for Jonah Hill. I think he's like, hey, I'm totally down. I'm going to make this movie that lets everyone know how totally down I am. And like black people in the movie are like, hey, you are totally down. And he's like, I don't know. I'm just being me. I don't know.
You are totally down.
All right. Should we rate the sucker? All right. So on a scale of Johnny Walker Red to Johnny Walker Blue, what is American Fiction?
Well, I brought the bottles to the office, so I guess I should probably start with the first swig. I think it's a solid A movie. The script is very clever. It isn't perfect. There are things like it does bug me when they fracture the ending like that. It bugged me less the second time I watched it. I read a review where they were saying that, the black women in this movie are really just supporting characters and they don't really take lead roles. That criticism, I was like, it doesn't pass the Bechdel test. It doesn't have any scene with two women in it talking about anything other than men, I'll ding it a little bit for that, but it overwhelms that with the quality of the acting, the care to detail that the filmmaker puts into this. Cord Jefferson, it's his first movie he's ever directed, and it's a really assured directorial debut. He just really captures all the little moments of these interchanges between these people that magnify things or tell you things that they aren't saying, out loud. And it's well lit, it's well shot. He surrounded himself with good people for this too. Sterling Brown is great as the brother. The sister Lisa, I really wish she had more scenes in this. She's an excellent actor, really fun to watch. Oh, and Coraline too, Monk's girlfriend / ex-girlfriend. By the end of the movie, who knows? She's great. She's really, really good, and just really clear-eyed and interesting, and someone you could imagine would be a good match for a really difficult person like Monk.
Erica Alexander.
Yeah. I liked her an awful lot. And then the agent, I like the agent too. But at the center of the movie, Jeffrey Wright, I've said it already, he's so fucking good. Someone once said about Jimmy Stewart that he never had a bad take. You never didn't believe Jimmy Stewart in a movie. And I feel the same way about Jeffrey Wright. I've never seen him suck, and I've never seen him come even fucking close. And even with all of that mountain of work that's led up to this part, I think it's the best thing I've seen him in, and that's saying something. To play someone this subtle, this understated, tamping down this much rage and having it come out in different strange ways that even surprise him, it's an incredibly hard character to play, and he fucking kills it. So I give it an A. All right, who's next?
Look at next. I mean, I liked a lot about this movie, and for this to be Cord Jefferson's first directorial debut for a film, a feature film, it's a pretty astonishing piece of work. I look forward to seeing what he does in the future. I like a lot of the stuff he's done that is non-cinema. He wrote a bunch of episodes, like 25 episodes for The Good Place, Succession.
Quit trying to make
Watchmen,
The Good Place.
Oh yeah.
Master of None. He did an episode of Station 11, which was excellent. Yeah, so I would like to. I'm going to look up what he wrote, what pieces of SNL he wrote, because I'm interested to see what how funny those are. I'm sure it's probably a bunch that I never even realized. But yeah, excellent casting, fantastic characters. He really did a great job of just like making you believe everybody.
Yeah.
like everybody at every moment.
Yeah.
Up until the end, and then I'm left with, oh, that was the ending. And I have to wonder if the book that this is based on, Erasure, if that has the same ending or something that's slightly different. I'm gonna look that up as well. But at any rate, I think I give it a B+. I give it an A- if the ending wasn't the ending.
Fractured.
Yeah, a little bit fractured. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a book or a movie I'd recommend to almost anybody. It's a fun, interesting, thoughtful watch.
Man, I'm on the fence. I always hem and haw on these reviews, because not that they matter.
I know, right?
I mean, whatever. Oh wait, so I don't have to give it a rating. Can I just say Johnny Walker Blue?
There you go, right in the middle.
No,
Blue's the high. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I think for me, I think the dialogue is usually really important. I think it's really well written. Like, he does the sibling ribbing and commentary really well.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't seem hokey. It seems genuine. I think the stories it's good and it's entertaining. I think what I appreciate the most probably is there's a lot of like little nuances you could probably skip out, but I think there's nuances in the film that make it believable and nice, where there's like a lot of emotion. Like one moment I thought was really good when they're at the memory care facility or wherever she's at staying, and they cut to the scene where Cliff puts on the record player and he starts dancing with his mom, but then she insults him, you know, in a way. But like just that little moment of them dancing, I think that is like a little nuanced thing that you could have just had them talking to the doctor and whatever, you know, or even like having the Lorraine character being like kind of this little heart of the family, you know, and so nice and accepting of everybody, and just stuff like that, I think, or even being able to do little things like that, I think are nice touches that you probably wouldn't, at least I wouldn't expect to see from like a first time filmmaker, you know? So it's really well done in that sense. I think the only thing that misses for me, and I thought the ending was fine, right? Like I kind of liked, because they break that wall multiple times throughout the movie in a way, you know, where he's writing the first scene and then again, you know, later for more dialogue. So it's not like it was unusual and out of nowhere, like it's all a dream, you know, like it's kind of, they kind of break it like that. But the only thing I think it bothered me, and I probably should have mentioned this in the things I didn't like, but there's so many relationships that it doesn't get to drill in on everybody, like Coraline or something, but she just plays this ancillary character in a way. even the fact you're introducing the maid getting engaged
Yeah.
to like this random guy. It's
Maynard guy.
okay.
Yeah.
Maynard, like,
I
okay,
like
there's
Maynard,
this guy.
yeah.
Yeah. But, it's kind of like they turn into like little ancillary side stories and they
Mhm.
kind of maybe slightly detract away. There's never any real like deep interaction between, I know she gets dementia, but the mother and any of the children, because she's kind of,
Yeah.
whatever, but those type of things. Anyways, long story short, I think that's the only thing that it's unfortunate because I think it'd be cool to explore some of those other stories. Oh, man, I'd like to watch it again. It's too fresh, but I think it's like
We don't have time for that, Brian.
We're not going to watch it together. I give it a B+.
All right, although they do give the mom a good line where Coraline comes to dinner for the first time and she's like, "I'm glad you're not white." And then Coraline's like, "Me too."
They really like expedite that relationship.
Yeah,
they meet outside. All of a sudden he's inside, and the next thing he's like girlfriend. Like,
yeah.
Oh, all right.
That's middle-aged relationships though. Especially like if you're divorced. I know somebody who announced they were getting separated maybe a month and a half ago, and is got a girlfriend now, and it's someone in middle age. People move fast because they're like, I was in the wrong relationship too long, or I wasn't in one for so long, and like I'm making it.
The wolf of oblivion is lapping at our doors.
Yeah, totally.
Would you say that they took a lover?
They took a lover. They were.
You say that.
They've been divorced for 5 minutes, and now they're making up for lost time.
Yeah, he's like, that was a funny scene. He's like, funny. You homophobe? He's like, I'm not a homophobe. It's the fact that you just said took a lover. Which is something like a brother would say. It's so funny.
Like, you don't get away with saying that.
Great.
Brian, what are we doing next week?
You guys let me know if you think this is a good idea or not, but I've had this tinkering with these ideas of like just doing like a topic episode, and I'm happy to round table this. I feel like instead of doing an album, what if we did like, the whole desert island hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
You get 8 albums, maybe 10. We can talk about the details. Or you only get 10 albums, bring with you to the desert island. And we're not going to like go into each album, like we have to like review it. It's just like kind albums. Of the catch is in your list is that somebody can steal from your list, right? So you're
on an adjoining island, like it's like Catan or something.
Joshua, of all your 45 Shins albums that you have, I might take one of them from you, and you'd be like, "No, that's my favorite Shins album."
Like, too bad.
Tough shit. My island.
But I think we should not let any of each other know what we're bringing.
You can't.
Everything's surprise. Because I feel like it's going to be a couple of people. All right. Well, we'll see nobody next week.
All right. Ciao. I don't know what's good anymore.